Yitzchok Leib ben Aaron HaKohen, and Hinda Esterson, Hinda Bas Hemech Ephraim. We hope that on the merit of our Talmud Torah, the Shamas will have an aliyah and the family is in the Chama. All right, let's begin. So we did the magnificent Mishnah yesterday. Today we pick up with the Gemara. So we'll say today's daf is Gimel. We are picking up on Beis Amud Beis of the bottom. Michti Tanami Maseches Makus Salik. So remember again, the Mishnah is now going. The Gemara is going to have an interesting discussion. We know that we just came off of Maseches Makis. Now we'll say the Gemara presupposes that there is some type of thematic flow from one Masechta to the next. So if we just finished up with Makis, Tana Michte Makis Salik, Maishna the Tani Shevuos, why is it that now the Tana, the one who arranged the Gemaras, why do we choose now to go ahead and enter into Maseches Shevuos? What's the connection ultimately again between Makis and Shevuos? Mishum the Tana, the Gemaras, I'll tell you why. Also, although I'll tell you something interesting, if you have some of the older versions of Shas, sometimes Makkos was not printed, sometimes Shevuos was not printed after Makkos. Sometimes Shevuos was printed after the Babas, which is just very interesting. And I'm sure there must have been a good reason for that, but Lamaisa, again, you'll find in some of the older Shasas like this. The Gemara says the following. So why is it that Shevuos follows on the heels of Makkos? Mishum Detani, Chayev ala Rosh Shtayim, Achas Mikan va'achas Mikan. Because remember again, if you remember, in one of the latter Mishnayos of Maseches Makis, so the Mishnah spoke about the idea that if a person goes ahead and cuts off their payas, they are chayiv twice, chayiv shtayim, achas mikan va'achas mikan, one for each side of the head which is rounded. Furthermore, top of Gimel Amadal for both sides, ve'ala zakan, and on the beard, shtayim mikan v'shtayim mikan, va'achas milamata. For the beard, we discussed that if a person goes ahead and shaves their beard with a straight edge with a razor, then what? They're chayiv ultimately again for 5 violations. 4 on the sides of the face. Remember again by right opposite the middle of the ear. Then 2 more by around the jawbone area and 1 by the chin. So 1 is chayiv ultimately again 5. Therefore again I will say when we talk about shaving the head or shaving the beard, it's an example of one act which generates multiple violations. So we'll say, therefore, the Gemara says, Chada tarti. For one act of shaving, one could be chayiv ultimately again multiple times. Tana Shevuos Shtayim Shein Arba. So we'll say, so just like the end of the Mishnayos Maseches Makis was talking about one act which could generate multiple liabilities. So we picked up with this Mishnah and Maseches Shevuos, which speaks about what? 2 cases which are really 4. So there's just a thematic bridge between one act which could result in multiple violations and 2 acts which ultimately, or I should say, 2 things which really 2 cases which really represent 4 cases. Okay, not the strongest of connections, but the idea nevertheless being that it's one act which represents 2 cases which represent 4. Good. So Maishna Hacha. Suppose that I think that's another interesting question, just based on the style of the Mishnah. Maishna Hacha Ditani Lahu Lakulu. Umayshna Gabi Yitzio Shabbos Umaros Nagoim Delokatani Lelukulu. Supposed to listen to this Shaila. So the Gemara says the following. If you look in our Mishnah, so obviously the topic of our Mishnah is Shevuos. Right? The topic of our Mishnah is oaths. That's our focus. Now, once, however, our Mishnah started speaking about oaths, so remember again, when it comes to Shevuos, we have Shtayim Shein Arba. We have a situation of 2 oaths, 2 biblical oaths, which we'll get into today, which are in fact really 4 different cases. 4 different cases. Now, once we discussed Shevuos, which are Shtayim Shein Arba, we begin to discuss, the Mishnah lists all of the other cases, which are also Shtayim Shein Arba. Yidiyos HaTama, Yitzios HaShabbos, Maros Negoim. Now, obviously, each of these other cases come up in their own Masechta. So, for example, in Masechta Shabbos, the way the Masechta starts is Yitzios HaShabbos Shtayim Shein Arba. Yet, in Maseches Shabbos or by Yidiyos HaTuma, so whenever the Mishnah seeks out the particular topic, it doesn't bring in all of the other cases. In other words, we'll say, for example, in Maseches Shabbos, all it speaks about are Yitzios HaShabbos Shtayim Shein Arba. It doesn't mention Shevuos. It doesn't mention Maros Negoim. It doesn't mention Yidiyos HaTuma. Yet over here by Makis, even though again our stated topic is what? Is Shevuos, it chooses to bring in all of the other cases of Shtayim Shein Arba. So that's what the Gemara is asking. Ma'ishna Hacha The Tani Lulukulu. Why is it that over here in Shevuos we quote all of the cases of Shtayim Shehin Arba, Umashna Gabi Yitzios Shabbos Umaros Negoim, Deloka Tani Lulukulu. Better say by Yitzios to Shabbos and by Maros Negoim, we only quote the cases that are shaykh to the particular Masechta. We don't quote all of the other cases. Why not? Why not? To which the Gemara says, oh, I'll tell you why. Amri, Shevuos, v'yedios hatuma, the gabi hadadi ksivin, the damyon ahadadi bekarben olavi yored, tani luhu gabi hadadi. So we'll say, here's the distinction. When it comes to Shevuos, and when it comes to yedios hatuma, which I will say, the Gemara says, are the gabi hadadi ksivin, are written next to each other in the Gemara. They're written next to each other in the Gemara. So, excuse me, in the Torah. I'm sorry. So Yedios HaTzoma. So when it comes ultimately again to Shevuos and Yedios HaTzoma, these topics are spoken about, are juxtaposed in the Torah. Therefore, what? Furthermore, the Damin Adadi B'Karban. Furthermore, I will say they also bring the same type of carbon ultimately if you're in violation of any of these things, which is a carbon Olevi Yored. Therefore, what? Tani Lahu Gabi Adadi. Therefore, the Mishnah chooses to group them together. So the Gemara therefore says, when it comes to Shevuos and Yedios HaTumah, so Shevuos and lapses of awareness when it comes to Tumah, so there's a reason why the Mishnah lists them together. Why? Number one, they're written next to each other in the Torah. Number two, they carry with them the same penalty of the carbon Olevi Yored. So that's why those two are mentioned together. So therefore, once we're mentioning Shevuos, we might as well mention Yedios HaTumah as well. What about the other ones? Va'aidi de tani tarti, tani kulu. And I will say, once you're already mentioning two of the cases of Shtayim Shehin Arba, i.e. Shevuos and Yedios HaTumah, you might as well what? You might as well throw in the other two, which are Yitzios HaShabbos, the case ultimately again of carrying on Shabbos, as well as Nigoim, Maros Nigoim, as well as Saras. Okay, so we'll say now we understand stylistically why the Mishnah is set up the way it is. So remember again, just to put this all together, we're bringing up Shevuos now in the aftermath of Makis, because Makis ended off with one act which generates multiple liabilities. Therefore, that leads us into the discussion of Shtayim Shehin Arba in our Masechta. Ultimately, again, but if our topic is Shevuos, why bring up Yedios HaTumah, Yitzios HaShabbos, Manos Negoim? So the answer is, again, remember, once we bring up Shevuos, we're automatically going to bring up Yedios HaTumah, the cases of Tumah. Why? Because they're written next to each other in the Torah, and they have the same punishment, the same liability, ultimately, of carbon Olevi Yored. And once we're mentioning two, we might as well mention the other two of Yitzios HaShabbos and Maros Negoim as well. Beautiful. Now we understand the entire framework of the Mishnah. The Gemara goes weiter. Pasach b'Shvuos u'mefarish Yedios HaTumah. There's another stylistic issue, which is the following. Remember, the Mishnah begins with Shevuos Shtayim Shein Arba. We begin with a discussion, ultimately again, of Shevuos. Then we go into Yedios HaTumah. And I will say, remember, the Mishnah essentially spends the entire time on what? On Yedios HaTumah. I will say, generally, just stylistically, when the Mishnah mentions multiple concepts, and then is going to expound on those concepts, generally, again, we expound in the order in which they are listed. So if Shevuos is listed and then Yedios HaTumah, we would have expected the Mishnah to expound the halachos of Shevuos before Yedios HaTumah. Yet we know that's not how it works. In this Mishnah over here, we mention Shevuos, then Yedios HaTumah, and then the rest of the Mishnah pretty much is devoted to what? To Tumah. To Yedios HaTumah. So what's going on over here? So Pasach b'Shvuos u'mefarish Yedios HaTumah, to which the Gemara says, I'll tell you why. Aidi de zutrin milayhu, pasik shari lahu, v'hadr tani Shevuos denafishim milayhu. Because I will say, the halachos concerning Yedios HaTumah, the halachos concerning these cases of where there's a lapse of awareness, either in again that I'm entering into the Beis HaMikdash, or that I'm eating something that is tahar, and I'm doing both of these things in a state of tumah, these halachos are relatively terse. In other words, there's relatively few halachos in this area, so the Mishnah essentially figured, let's just knock it out. Let's knock it out. Let's devote the Mishnah to these halachos, finish up these halachos, and then after we finish up the halachos over here, we'll come back ultimately afterwards to Shevuos. So there the Gemara goes weiter. Shevuos Shtayim Shein Arba. So remember again, let's go through the list. So now, remember the Mishnah told me that there are two biblical Shevuos, which in reality can be expounded into two cases. So what are the biblical Shevuos? Shtayim Sha'ochel v'Shalo Ochel. So both say the two biblical cases are what we call the Shevuas Bitui, ultimately again an oath of utterance, right? A declarative oath. And I will say, how do those? What's the biblical examples? Sha'ochal v'shlo'ochal. I will say that they're future tense Shevuos. A Shevuah that I will eat, a Shevuah that I won't eat. So I'll say those are the two biblically paradigmatic cases of Shevuos, where I make a declarative statement of something I will do in the future or something I won't do in the future. Shein Arba, which I will say then yields another two cases. What are the other two cases? Achalti v'shelo achalti. So we'll say the cases that we learn out from there are what? Are past tense Shevuos. A Shevuah that I did eat or a Shevuah that I did not eat. So the biblically paradigmatic cases are future tense declarative oaths, a Shevuah that I will eat, a Shevuah that I won't eat. The extrapolated cases are past tense oaths, a Shevuah that I already ate or a Shevuah that I did not already eat. So the Gemara says, Gemara goes weiter. Yedios hatuma shtayim shein. So now we're just expanding on all of the cases very quickly. Yedios hatuma shtayim shein arba. We'll say, what's the case of tuma, which are two cases, which are really four. So shtayim rabosai. So the two biblically paradigmatic cases are yedias tumos kodesh, the yedias tumas mikdash. So we'll say these cases are, if you look at Rashi for just a moment, yedias tumas kodesh, shenel ma mimenu tumas tuma va'achal kodesh. So we'll say the case over here is where what? I forgot that I was tamei. And I ate something consecrated. I ate something kodesh. So we'll say that's yedias tuma kodesh. So I forgot that I was tamei, and I ate something kodesh. The yedias tumas mikdash. Rashi says yedias tumas mikdash. Yedios shenelma mimenu yedias tuma v'nichnas lamikdash. So we'll say the biblically paradigmatic cases are: I knew I was tamei, then I forgot, and I ate kodesh. I knew I was tamei, and then I forgot, and I entered into the Beis Hamikdash. Those are the two biblically paradigmatic cases. Shein Arba. What are the two additional cases? Kodesh u'mikdash. So I'll say, what's the case of Kodesh u'mikdash? Take a look at Rashi for just a moment. Yedias Kodesh. Shenel ma mimenu yedias Kodesh. V'saver she'in zeh Kodesh u'mitchila yada. So we'll say the extrapolated cases, Rabbi say, are where I knew I was tamei, but I forgot that the item I was eating was kodesh, or I knew I was tamei, and I forgot that I was entering into the Beis Hamikdash. So we'll say the biblically paradigmatic cases are where there's a forgetfulness about tuma. I forgot that I was tamei and I ate something kodesh. I forgot that I was tamei and I entered into the Beis Hamikdash. The extrapolated cases are what? I knew I was tamei, but I forgot that the item I was eating was kodesh, or I forgot that the place I was entering into was the Beis Hamikdash. So Yitzio Shabbos Shtayim Shein Arba. So again, we're just going through the list. So remember the cases of Shabbos, the cases of Hotzah, of transporting an item from one rishus to another on Shabbos are two that are really four. So we'll say, what are the two? Shtayim Hotzah Da'ani V'Hotzah Da'Balabai. So we'll say the biblically paradigmatic case is ultimately, again, remember the biblically paradigmatic case is transferring an item from a private domain to a public domain. Rishus Hayachid to Rishus Harabim. So we'll say the paradigmatic cases are Hotzah Da'ani, where the poor person takes something out from Rishus Hayachid to Rishus Harabim, V'Hotzah Da'Balabayis. So if you look at Rashi says Hotzah Da'ani, Homemade B'chutz, V'Hotzah Da'Balabayis. So we'll say the way this works out is the following. The way just you should envision this is the Balabayis is standing in Rishus Hayachid, the Ani is standing in Rishus Harabim. There are two ways that an act of Hotzah, the act of moving an item from Rishus Hayachid to Rishus could take place. Either, or you call Hotzah Dani, which means the Ani inserts his hand inside to the Rishus Hayachid, the Balabayis gives him something, and the Ani brings it out. So the Ani is being motzi the item ultimately again from Rishus Hayachid to Rishus Harabim, or Hotzah the Balabayis, which is what? The Balabayis takes the loaf of bread, and what does he do? He extends it into Rishus Harabim to give it to the Ani. So those are the two biblically paradigmatic cases. Transferring an item from private domain to public domain, from Rishus Hayachid to Rishus Harabim. That's all right. Shein Arba. What are the other two cases? Hachnasa da'ani v'hachnasa de Balabayis. Ultimately, again, I will say, the other two extrapolated cases will be if the Ani brings something into Rishus Hayachid, and the Balabayis ultimately again brings something out to Rishus Harabim. Fine. So we'll say they're just the derivative cases. Maros Nigoyim Shtayim Shein Arba. I will say, what are the cases of Tzaras? There are two which are really four. So seis ubaheres, excuse me, shnayim seis ubaheres. Rabbi say the two biblically paradigmatic cases, ultimately again, are seis and Rabbi say these are just names of different types of skin discolorations. Shehein arba seis vitoldasa baheres vitoldasa. So Rabbi say the offshoot or the extrapolating cases are the seis and its toldos, its derivative type of discolorations, and baheres and its derivative types of discolorations. Fine. So we'll say now we've effectively gone through all of the cases of the Mishnah, which are Shtay and Shein Arba. We have explained the biblically paradigmatic cases and also explained the derivative cases. Beautiful. Mani Masnisin. Now we'll say the Gemara asks a fundamental question. Whose opinion does our Mishnah reflect? Now this is where it gets very interesting. Lo Rabbi Shmuel, velo Rabbi Akiva. It can't reflect the view of Rabbi Shmuel, nor could it reflect the view of Rabbi Akiva. How so? Rabbi Shmuel, because we'll say if our Mishnah reflects Rabbi Shmuel, what does Rabbi Shmuel hold? Rabbi Shmuel says, Ha'amar Eino Chayiv Ela al Ha'asid Lavo. Shavuos Rashi points out over here, Ela al Ha'asid Didayik Lahara'u Lahetiv Lakam Parakim. So we'll actually see the Shita of Rabbi Shmuel a bit later. Rabbi Shmuel holds that when it comes to a Shevuos Bitur, when it comes to a declarative oath, one is only chayiv if one makes a future tense shvuah. We'll see. Hold on, this out from Pesukim. So we'll say, why doesn't our Mishnah stem with Rabbi Shmuel? Because remember, again, we just explained that in the case of Shevuos, Shevuos Shein Shtayim Shein Arba, what are the two biblically paradigmatic cases, Rabbi say? The two biblical paradigmatic cases are future Shevuos, Sha'ochal v'Shaloachal, Shein Arba. What are the two derivative cases? Past tense, sha'achal or sha'achalti. Right now, again, Rabbi Shmuel holds that one is only chayiv a carbon on what? On future tense Shevuos, not on past tense Shevuos. So obviously, our Mishnah can't reflect the view of Rabbi Shmuel. And furthermore, Rabbi Akiva, and our Mishnah can't reflect the view of Rabbi Akiva. Why not? Ha'amar al ha'elam tumahu chayiv ve'eno chayiv al ha'elam mikdash. Because we'll say, interestingly enough, Rabbi Akiva holds that one could only be chayiv if what? One is only chayiv for what he calls ha'elam tuma. Or as well say, I can be chayiv a carbon olav yored if I forgot that I was tamei. But if I forgot that the place I was entering into is the Beis Hamikdash, then that is not subject to the carbon. And again, I will say, we're not doing these shitos justice. We'll explain all of them in greater depth. But the point we'll say, but yet for what did we say? We said Yedios Hatuma Shtayim Shein Arba. The two biblically paradigmatic cases of us are what? Are cases where I forget about my tumah and I eat hekdish, or I forget about my tumah and enter into the Beis Hamikdash. The two derivative cases are what? Where I forgot that I know that I was tamei, but I forgot that the item I was eating was kodesh, or I forgot that I was entering into the Beis Hamikdash. And according to our Mishnah, you're chayav for those cases. Rabbi Akiva holds you're only chayav for he'elam tumah. You're only chayav if you forget about the fact that you're tamei, but you are not chayav if you forget about the fact that the space you're entering into is the Beis Hamikdash. Therefore, again, the Gemara explains our Mishnah can reflect neither the position of Rabbi Akiva nor the position of Rabbi Shmuel. To which the Gemara says, "Ibai say Rabbi Shmuel, Ibai say Rabbi Akiva." The truth is, you actually could align the Mishnah like both of these opinions. How so? Ibai say Rabbi Shmuel. So we'll say maybe you could reflect. You could say that the Mishnah does reflect the view of Rabbi Shmuel. Mehen lechiv or mehen liftor. Oh, we'll say this is amazing. Maybe the way to read the Mishnah is as follows: Shevuos Shtayim Shein Arba. There are two cases of Shevuos that are really four. But how do you have to read the Mishnah? Mehen lechiv and mehen liftor. For some of them you are chayiv a carbon. For some you are not. When are you chayiv a carbon? Shvua she'ochal or shelo ochal. A shvua, future tense shvua, that I will eat or I won't eat. When are you not chayiv for a carbon? Sha'achal v'sha'achalti, past tense like Rabbi Shmuel. Ibois and Rabbi Akiva. Similarly, again, you can say the Mishnah does reflect the view of Rabbi Akiva. Mehem lechiv or mehem lifter. That Rabbi say when it comes to yediyas hatuma shtayim shein arba, there are cases where you are chayiv, which is what Rabbi say. He'elam tuma, where I forgot that I was tamei and I ate kodesh, or I went into the Beis Hamikdash, and other cases where I'm not tamei, which is where I forgot that I entered into the Beis Hamikdash. To which the Gemara says, Amud Beis, no. Hadumya, I'll tell you why that doesn't make sense. The Gemara says, Hadumya demaros negoim katani. We'll say you can't say that. Why? Because the cases of Shavua and the cases ultimately again of the cases of Shavua and the case of Shevuos and the case ultimately again of Helam Tuma have to resemble Negoim. How so? Ma Hasam Kulu L'chiyuva. We'll say just as in the case of Negoim, it's Shtayim Shein Arba, and what? All of the cases are liability. You're chayiv in all of the cases. Ultimately, again, I will say, when the Mishnah says Shtayim Shein Arba, what it means is what? You're chayiv in all of the cases. So we'll say you can't set up a situation where what? Where Lemaisa, again, in the case of Shevuos, I'll be chayiv for some and pater for others. Or in the case of Tuma, or right, that I'll be chayiv for some and pater for others. All of the cases enumerated in the Mishnah are all ultimately cases of chiyuv. In which case, again, you have to say that the Mishnah doesn't reflect the view of Rabbi Shmuel or Rabbi Akiva. Good morning, Mr. Schoenfeld. Nice to see you. She says the Gemara. Li'olam, we'll say 3 lines down from the top. Li'olam Rabbi Shmuel. In reality, again, the Gemara says you can align the Mishnah like Rabbi Shmuel. Now, we'll say, now here's the issue. The issue is, remember again, Rabbi Shmuel posed the problem. In which case, Rabbi Shmuel posed the problem ultimately in the case of Shevuos. Because Rabbi Shmuel seems to hold that the only time you're chayiv a carbon is when? For future tense Shavuos, not for past tense Shavuos. Yet our Mishnah assumes that 2 of the 4 cases of Shavuot liability are for past tense Shavuos. So what are you going to do? Rabbi Shmuel. V'chila mechayiv Rabbi Shmuel l'sha'avar carbon. Oh, we'll say, watch this. The Mishnah reflects the view of Rabbi Shmuel. And when do we say that Rabbi Shmuel says that you're not chayiv for past tense Shavuos? That means you're not chayiv a carbon for past tense Shavuos. Aval malkis chiyuv mechayiv. Rabbi say, I will be chayiv for what? I will be chayiv ultimately again malkis. Rabbi say, so Rabbi Shmuel can't be the Tana of the Mishnah. Rabbi Shmuel agrees with the fact that Shtayim Shein Arba, there are 2 paradigmatic cases of Shavuos, which are future tense Shavuos, which really yield liability for 2 more Shavuos, which are past tense Shavuos. Just Rabbi Shmuel holds that whereas the first 2 Shavuos, the future 10 Shavuos, if you violate them, you're chayiv a carbon olav yored. But if you violate the past 10 Shavuos, then what? You're not chayiv a carbon. What will you be chayiv? You'll be chayiv malchus. To which the Gemara says, Uchid Rava. And Rabbi Shmuel's view will reflect the view of Rava. Da'amar Rava, Beperish Ribsa Torah Shvuas Sheker, Dunya Dishvuas Shav. That the Torah goes ahead and explicitly says that you're chayiv for a Shvuas Sheker, a false oath, in the same way that you're chayiv for a Shvuas Shav. Now we'll say, now this is actually very interesting. If you take a look almost right across in Rashi, it's in the middle of the Rashi, Shvuas Shav, we'll say, we often use these terms interchangeably. We're going to spend a lot of time discussing them. Shvuas Shav and a Shvuas Sheker. A Shvuas Shav is a Shvuah in vain, and a Shvuas Sheker, we'll say, is a false oath. What's the distinction between? Look at Rashi just a moment. Shvuas Shav, hu nishbar l'shanos esayadua. So we'll say a Shvuas Shav is an oath where you try to change something that is an already established fact. Kigon al ha'ish shu isha, vala even shu zahav. Dishav mashma she'ino davar she'ino shel klum. He says Shvuas Sheker minolon Shvuas she'ino nikar im emes im lav. Supposed to listen to this. A Shvuas Shav is something that is obviously and unequivocally false, right? Meaning you're trying to change a fact on the ground. So I swear about Ruvain that he is a woman, even though he's a man, right? Chazal understand that gender is not a choice, right? The gender is a biological reality. So we'll say so Lemaisa, again, if a person goes ahead and says that I swear that Reuven is a woman. Okay, that's not even a shua sheker. That's a shua shav, meaning you're trying to change something that is in fact an immutable reality, as opposed to sheker. I will say shvua sheker. So I will say at the time the shvua is made, I may or may not know if what you're saying is true. Sometimes again, the idea of something, whether or not something is sheker, can only become known later on. So I will say we're going to spend a lot of time on this particular inyan, not now, but later on in the Masech. The Damarava, but Perush Ribsa Torah Shvua Sheker Dumya de Shvua Shav. The Torah goes ahead and equates a Shvuas Sheker, a false oath, to a Shvuas Shav. I guess, in English these don't translate as well. So Shvuas Sheker will be a false oath. Shvuas Shav ultimately again will be an oath in vain. Okay, so Mash Shav L'Shavar. Now, Rabbi, here's what's interesting. A Shvuas Shav, Rabbi, is what we call a past tense Shvuah. Why is it a past tense Shvuah? Because even at the very moment that you make it, it's clearly and unequivocally untrue. It's untrue. Af Sheker Nami L'Shavar. Therefore, again, Sheker is also Shevuos Sheker, we'll say also is a past tense, is sha'avar as well. So the Gemara says over here, Bishlama achalti v'lo achalti kidirava. So I understand. So we'll say if you take a look at the last few lines of that Rashi we're reading, Kidirava, Rashi says over here, Mashav l'sha'avar nishpa l'shanas asayadua, avar as shvua mishiyata samipiv. I will say just like ultimately again is shvuas shav, where a person tries to change that which is known. That which is known, ultimately again, he's chayiv immediately as the shvua passes through his lips. So to shvua sheker, one will also be chayiv ultimately again for past tense. Not past tense, but for past utterances. We'll define this in just a moment. So Gemara says, Bishlama, achalti v'lo achalti kidirava. So we'll say, I understand, if I'm making a shvua of achalti v'lo achalti, I did eat or I didn't eat. So I'm making a shvua. Or either I swear I did eat something or I didn't eat something. Ultimately, again, kidirava. So I understand ultimately again how that aligns with the prohibition of Rava. Take a look at Rashi. Bishlam achalti v'lo achalti. Kolomar shein arba lo mishkachos lo. Di bishlam al shtayim delisha avar lucky kidirava. V'lo al ocha v'achal nami lucky delav sheish romai. So let's listen to this. So I understand if I take a shvua of sha'achal v'shalo achal for shalo achal, I take a past tense shvua, right? I eat something or I didn't eat something. So Rava says, Rabbosai, that ultimately if it turns out that I'm in violation of that law, Rava in general says anytime you're swearing about a past event, that's where there's going to be liability. However, I'm sorry, shelo ochal, I'm sorry, I just lost the place. Bishlam achalti v'lo achalti kidirava, shelo ochal v'achal. We'll say, if I say that I will not eat something, right, to take a shvua, I swear I won't eat something, v'achal, and I do eat something, Nami, I understand also that I'm going to be chayiv for that. Why? Lav sheish b'maisu. Because that is an example of a prohibition which carries with it an action. So obviously I'm going to be chayiv. Ela ochal v'lo achal amai. But I will say in a case of where I take a shvua, that's what? I swear I won't eat something. Excuse me. I will eat something. I'm sorry. Ochal. I swear I will eat something. But what? I end up violating the shvua. How? Because I didn't eat something. Amai. Why would I be chayiv for that? Lav she'in bo maisahu. Rabbi say at the end of the day, that is a lav she'in bo maisa. Right? At the end of the day, again, I take a shvua that I'm going to eat something, and I'm in violation of the shvua because of why? Because I don't eat it. So ultimately, again, it's lav she'in bo maisa. That is a prohibition without any kind of action. Why would I be chayiv for that? Kasav Rabbi Shmuel, because Rabbi Shmuel holds lav she'in bo maisa lokin alav. Because also Rabbi Shmuel holds that a lav she'in bo maisa, you get malchus on it. So remember, understand what we're trying to do over here. We're just trying to align the Mishnah in accordance with the view of Rabbi Shmuel. So again, remember, originally we thought that's an impossibility. Why? Because Rabbi Shmuel holds that you're only chayiv for future tense Shevuos and not for past tense Shevuos. So no problem. We took care of that ultimately again by aligning Rabbi Shmuel with the shita of Rava. That Rava ultimately holds that you're chayiv even for past tense Shevuos as well. So now we go back. I understand if I could be in violation of a shvua, shelo ochal, I swear that I'm not going to eat something, and I eat it, so I'm chayiv. I actively violated the shvua. But in the case of a future tense shvua of saying I will eat something and I don't eat it, why would I be chayiv for that? That's a lav she'in bo maisa. To which the Gemara now introduces another layer, which is Rabbi Shmuel holds lav she'in bo maisa lokin alav. Rabbi Shmuel holds that you get malchus even for a lav she'in bo maisa. Okay, so if that's the case, that Rabbi Shmuel now holds that you get malchus for a lav she'in bo maisa. Kajad Rabbi Yochanan. We'll say now we have a contradiction on Rabbi Yochanan. Why? Where did Rabbi Yochanan come from? Then Rabbi Yochanan, halacha ki stam mishnah. Rabbi Yochanan generally says that halacha follows a stam mishnah. We'll say, what is a stam mishnah? A stam mishnah is a mishnah without particular tanaic attribution, which I will say is like our mishnah, right? If you notice again, our mishnah has no particular name stated, right? It doesn't say divrei so and so. It's called a stam mishnah. Rabbi Yochanan says in general, a stam mishnah isn't considered to be authoritative because it sounds like what? Everyone agrees, right? It's like everyone agrees. Lamaisa again, because there's no attribution, by definition, that must mean that everybody agrees. So listen to this. So Rabbi Yochanan holds that the halacha follows a stam mishnah, ve'itmar, and yet we learned shvur she'ochal kikar zuayom. If a person takes a shvur, we'll say, here's the shvur. I swear I'm going to eat this loaf of bread today. And a day goes by, and what? I don't eat it. Rabbi Yochanan v'reish lakish darmitar vayu ena loke. So we'll say. So remember again. Let's go back for a second. So if Rabbi Yochanan says that the halacha follows a stam Mishnah, that means what, Rabbi say? That means according to Rabbi Yochanan, the halacha follows our Mishnah. We just stated that what? Whose opinion does our Mishnah reflect? Whose opinion? Whose opinion? Rabbi Shmuel. What does Rabbi Shmuel hold? That you get malchus for a lav she'in bo ma'isa. Okay? So therefore Rabbi Yochanan must be of the opinion that you get malchus for a lav she'in bo ma'isa. Yet, we see Rabbi Yochanan on record as saying something different. I take a Shevuah that I'm going to eat the loaf of bread today. The day goes by and I don't eat it. What's that halacha? Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish. We just had this in Makis. Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish Amitar. Vayu ein aloka. Both Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish agree that I will not get malchus. They agree, but I will say, but for different reasons. Rabbi Yochanan or ein aloka mishum dahavi lav shein bo ma'isa. Oh, we'll say you hear this. You hear this. This is earth shattering. This is earth shaking. You feel your chair moving from under you. Rabbi Yochanan holds that what? Thank you. Rabbi Yochanan says that you don't get malchus. Why not? Because it's a lav she'in bo ma'isa. Because even though I violated my Shevuah, there's no action. I violated the Shevuah. I'll say how? How? Through inaction. I didn't do something. I didn't eat the loaf. Rabbi Yochanan holds you don't get malchus for lav she'in bo ma'isa. Lav she'in bo ma'isa in lo kinalav. So we'll say even before we go on, here's the kasha right here. Well, let's finish it up. Reish Lakish Amar in loka hasra safeki. Rabbi Reish Lakish says you don't get malchus for a different reason, which is hasra safek. And once remember again, we learned this. Reish Lakish is of the opinion that hasra must immediately precede the commission of the prohibited act. In this case over here, I'm taking a Shevuah at the beginning of the day. The Eidim say to me, by the way, Silber, if you violate the Shevuah, you're going to be chayav a carbon, right? But remember again, I have the whole day in which to eat the loaf. So because of that, the hasra, the warning, is not juxtaposed to the violation of the prohibition. Therefore, Reish Lakish says I don't get malchus. So we'll say, what's the point? The point is we have a kasha. Rabbi Yochanan says the halacha follows a stam Mishnah. Our Mishnah is a stam Mishnah, and our Mishnah reflects the view of Rabbi Shmuel, who says that what? That you get malchus for lav she'in bo ma'isa. You get lashes even for inaction, even for violating through inaction. Yet Rabbi Yochanan himself just stated that you don't get malchus for lav she'in bo ma'isa. You don't get malchus for lav she'in bo ma'isa. And I will say at the end of the day, remember again, I take a Shevuah to eat the loaf of bread. I don't end up eating the loaf of bread. Rabbi Shmuel says I don't get malchus because that's a lav she'in bo ma'isa. So Rabbi Yochanan is contradicting himself, because if Rabbi Yochanan holds that the halacha follows a stam Mishnah, our Mishnah holds that you do get malchus for lav she'in bo ma'isa. Yet Rabbi Yochanan is saying that you don't get malchus for lav she'in bo ma'isa. It's an incredibly overwhelming, troubling problem. So what do we do with this? It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan stama achrina ashkach. I will say Rabbi Yochanan has another stam Mishnah. Rabbi Yochanan has up his sleeve another stam Mishnah. There is another Mishnah without attribution that in fact holds that you don't get malchus for a lav she'in bo ma'isa. So we'll say as long as Rabbi Yochanan can find another stam Mishnah, he's going to be good. So watch this. Rabbi Yochanan stam achrina ashkach. Hi stam. No, which stam Mishnah? I'm curious. Which stam Mishnah does Rabbi Yochanan have up his sleeve? Ilema hi stama. If you want to say it's the following stam Mishnah. This nan we learned aval hamosir bitar vashover bitame in elok. We'll say again. This is amazing because we just had all of this in Makkos. We just had all of these gemaras. So what happens if a person will say goes ahead and breaks a bone in a carbon pesach that is tame? Or let's say my carbon pesach unfortunately becomes tame. The Torah says ve'etzem lo sish verubo. Right? It goes ahead and says that you shall not go ahead and break a bone. And we'll say, we didn't do it when we did Makkos, but Said, you put it on the list. There's a magnificent Sefer HaChinuch. In general, it's interesting to see why it is when we eat the carbon, ve'etzem lo sish berubo, why can't you break a bone? Why can't you break a bone? So we'll say there's a magnificent Sefer HaChinuch that speaks about that the consumption, we're supposed to be like B'nai Melachim. B'nai Melachim don't suck the marrow out of the bones. Right? B'nai Melachim, they don't need to do that. There's enough plentiful food for royalty that they don't need to get their hands all messy with breaking the bones. It's an incredible, first of all, it's an incredible yisod in general about how a Jew eats, which is an interesting idea. But Lamaisa, again, it highlights the notion of sometimes you have to act like royalty, even if you don't feel like royalty. So the Jew doesn't get into his food with his hands, right? Doesn't get into his food ultimately, again, with sucking and this and that and all the other stuff. The Jew eats ultimately again in a refined manner. So again, you'll put it on the list, and we'll get to it. Although I think I just said it. But here, we'll get to it. So the Gemara says the following. Hashar time. So we'll say the prohibition ultimately, again, of going ahead and the prohibition ultimately of breaking a bone is only with a carbon pesach that is tahar. If one goes ahead and breaks the bone of a carbon pesach that is tameh, ain't a loka. You don't get malchus. Ain't a loka is harbon. So watch this. So I'm sorry. Hamos yibitar. If one goes ahead and leaves over, right? Leaves over. So from a tar carbon pesach, or breaks a bone in a tameh carbon pesach, ain't a loka is harbon. You don't get malchus. So says the Gemara. Bishlam shover betameh dichse ve'etzem lo sishbaru bo. So both say, I understand why if I break a bone in a carbon pesach that is tameh, I don't get malchus. Why? Because it says etzem lo sishbaru bo. It says you shall not break a bone in it. Bo. Bo b'kosher v'lo b'pasel. We'll say, so the Gemara darshans the bo. It's only in bo, only in a carbon pesach that is kosher, that you are chayiv or that's tar, that you are going ahead, or that's kosher, that you are chayiv ultimately for breaking the bone. But if the carbon pesach became tummy, you're not chayiv for breaking the bone. Below apostle, aval amosir betar my timer. But I will say, why is it that if you leave over? So remember again, halacha is the carbon pesach must be consumed by the morning, and whatever you don't consume in the morning, ba'ish tisrof has to be burned. Let's say you actively left over past the morning. So why is it that you don't get malchus? Aval amosir betar my timer. Lav mishum dahavi lav shein bo ma'isa. We'll say why? Because ultimately, again, it's a lav shein bo ma'isa. It's a lav. It's a prohibition that doesn't have an accompanying action with it. In other words, I violate this through inaction. V'chol lav shein bo ma'isa ein lokin alav. And I will say ultimately, again, any lav that does not have an accompanying ma'isa, you don't get malchus on it. So we'll say, what do you see from here? So ultimately, again, here is a stam mishnah. Here is a stam mishnah that ultimately tells me that I don't get malchus for a lav she'ein bo ma'isa. To which the Gemara says, Umimai Rabbi Yaakov hi damar lav she'ein bo ma'isa ein lokin alav. How do I know that ultimately, again, this reflects the view of Rabbi Yaakov, who says that you don't get malchus for lav she'ein bo ma'isa? Dilma Rabbi Hudahi. Both say maybe there's another reason why I don't get malchus over here, which is what? Umishum debaha kosav litain asay. Achar lo sa'aseh. Halav hachi lucky. I will say, so 1 second. You're assuming that the reason you don't get malchus if you leave over carbon pesach is because why? It's a lav shema ma'isa. Maybe there's another reason why I don't get malchus. Why I will say? Because maybe this is what's called a lav hanita klase, going back to our malchus days, which is what? Anytime you have a lav which could be remedied by the performance of a positive commandment, you don't get malchus. So we'll say there is a lav, there is a prohibition to leave over carbon pesach. But there is a remedying assay. What's the remedying assay? Ba'ish tisrofu. Go ahead and burn it. Maybe that's why I don't get malchus. So the Gemara says, so halav hachi lucky. But were it not for the fact that there was a remedying assay, you would get malchus, even though what? Even though the ma'isa say lav she'in bo ma'isa this sanya, because remember we learned in a brayso, lo sasiru menu ad boker. Because most have another brisa. The brisa says you may not leave over from the carbon pesach until morning, and whatever you leave over until morning shall be consumed in the fire. The Torah is coming along to give you an assay, a positive commandment after the prohibition. Lomar shein lokin alav div Rabbi Yehuda. To tell me that what the Rebbe said carbon pesach is a lav hanitak lasei. It is a prohibition which is remedied by the performance of a positive commandment, and that's why you don't get malchus. Rabbi Yaakov Omer lo min Hashem uzeh elim shum davi lav she'in bo ma'isa. Rabbi Yaakov says no. The reason you don't get malchus is why? Because it's a lav she'in bo ma'isa. V'chol lav she'in bo ma'isa ein lokin alav. And I will say ultimately again, any lav that doesn't have a ma'isa associated with it, you don't get malchus. So both say. So understand over here. We'll stop over at the Gemara. We'll share a short thought on the parsha, but understand where we're ending. We're trying to figure out. We just established that our Mishnah reflects the view of Rabbi Shmuel. Right, to Rabbi Shmuel. We figured out how that works in the Mishnah. The interesting part is, by aligning it with Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Shmuel holds that what? That you get malchus for a lav she'ein bo ma'isa. Fine. Now again, remember, our Mishnah is a stam Mishnah. We attributed to Rabbi Shmuel, lav she'ein bo ma'isa, you get malchus. The problem is, with Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan holds that the halacha always follows a stam Mishnah. Our Mishnah is a stam Mishnah, which means that then the halacha is you'd get malchus on a lav she'ein bo ma'isa. What's the problem? Rabbi Yochanan himself is on record as saying that what? You don't get malchus for a lav she'ein bo ma'isa. So how could Rabbi Yochanan say that you don't get malchus for a lav she'ein bo ma'isa, and say the halacha follows a stam Mishnah? If the halacha follows a stam Mishnah, which is our Mishnah, then you should get malchus even for a lav she'ein bo ma'isa. To which essentially I will say the Gemara wants to demonstrate that Rabbi Yochanan has another Stam Mishnah upon which he hangs his hat. He has another Stam Mishnah, and that other Stam Mishnah ultimately what? Teaches the halacha that you don't get Malchus for a Lav Shem B'maisa, which would then support Rabbi Yochanan's view. So we'll say ultimately again, so now then the Gemara tries to figure out where is that Stam Mishnah? Where is that Stam Mishnah? So the Gemara wanted to suggest that the Stam Mishnah is by Karban Pesach. Because what's the halacha by Karban Pesach? If you leave over Karban Pesach till the next morning, you don't get Malchus. Why not? Why not? Because it's a Lav Shem B'maisa. To which the Gemara essentially says, well, not necessarily. Everyone will agree that you don't get Malchus, but it might be for a different reason, which is what? Which is because it's a Lav Hanitak La'aseh. It could be because it's a prohibition that is remedied by the performance of a positive commandment. That's why you don't get Malchus. So we'll say, because now there's an alternative understanding of that Mishnah may not teach us the concept, doesn't necessarily teach us the concept that what? That you don't get Malchus for Lav Shem B'maisa, in which case again Rabbi Yochanan has to find another Stam Mishnah to align with his view. So we'll say we stop over here kind of in the middle. The Gemara is going to pick up Emir Hashem tomorrow by trying to figure out which is the Stam Mishnah upon which Rabbi Yochanan hinges his view. Good. So we'll say we'll stop over here for today. So must I share with you a beautiful idea in the parsha. So the pasuk says, remember again when Yaakov Avinu first confronts, he was going to meet Esav. So the message he sends to Esav is in Lavan Garti ve'echar ad ata. I've been living with Lavan. In Lavan Garti ve'echar ad ata. I've been living with Lavan up until this point in time. So we're familiar with the famous drasha of Rashi. So what does Rashi say? In Lavan Garti, the Taryag mitzvos shamarti. So Rashi says that Taryag is the gematria of Garti. Now, you have to understand, you don't have to be a fan of gematria to buy into that one, right? Why? Because again, remember, Garti and Taryag are the same exact letters. It's the same exact letters. So Yaakov Avinu sends an embedded message ultimately to Esav, saying, Im Lavan Garti, the Taryag mitzvos shamarti. So the obvious shaila is, there are a number of obvious shailas. First of all, again, why would Esav care? Why would Esav care what Yaakov Avinu was doing in his spiritual life or not? Meaning, why is there any consequence to Yaakov Avinu? People say, to Esav. But the truth is, it's even more. Obviously, when Chazal make a drasha like this, they're trying to go and teach us a lesson. Because the Yaakov Avinu keep Taryag mitzvos. They keep Taryag mitzvos. Of course not. Of course not. There's no Beis Hamikdash. He's not a Kohen. He's married to two sisters. Right? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's going on with Yaakov Avinu that he's not keeping Taryag mitzvos. So in fact, again, remember, the Ramban's whole chap is that even the Avos who kept the Torah kept it in Eretz Yisrael. Didn't keep it in Chutz. That's how Yaakov Avinu was able to be married to two sisters. So what does it mean? So first of all, leaving aside, even if he really said it, what does Esav care about it? But more than that, what's the deeper meaning of that statement? In Lavan Garti, v'taryag mitzvot shamarti. So I saw a beautiful idea by the Chassam Sofer. The Chassam Sofer says something amazing. He says, Ki kasher la'adam lomar shekim kol taryag mitzvos. The truth is, it's impossible for any person to say that he was mekayim taryag mitzvos. Sharizeh kim'at min hanimna. It's impossible. Both say it's impossible. Because if you think about it again, if I'm a Kohen, there are certain mitzvahs I can't perform. If I'm not a Kohen, there are certain mitzvahs I can't. I mean, it's almost impossible. Now you could construct a paradigm where one person could go ahead and come up with all of the mitzvahs, but it's virtually impossible. Aval Shamarti says, what's the message that Chazal are trying to teach us? Aval Shamarti hu milashon va'aviv shamar es hadavar. So I'll say, Chassam Sofer says something amazing. What does shamarti mean? So we say kindness of shamarti means I kept. We normally translate as kept as observed. I observe the time mitzvos. That's not the meaning. That's not the taich of shamar. A few parashas later, the Torah says that when Yosef retells his dreams, so the brothers get upset. Va'aviv shamar es hadavar. So what is the aviv shamar es hadavar? So if you look at Rashi Kodesh on the pasuk says shamar means what? Yoshev umetzape masai yavo. Shamar means to anticipatorily pine for something. Shamar means to yearn for something. Shamar means to want something so badly, even though you can't have it right now. Va'aviv shamar as hadavar means Yaakov heard the dreams. Yaakov knew deep down what these dreams were about. He tried to silence Yosef because he realized it was causing antagonism with the brothers. There was no need for that now. But va'aviv shamar es hadavar, I know my Yosef is going to be great. I know my Yosef is going to be spectacular. So says the Chassam Sofer. That's what it means over here. In Lavan Garti, v'taryag mitzos shamarti. Doesn't mean that Yaakov Avinu went ahead and kept taryag mitzvos. Of course it doesn't. Rather, af b'mitzvos shelo ba'u liyadi l'kaimon. Yaakov Avinu says, even with those mitzvos that I didn't have the opportunity to perform, shamarti v'hishtokakti aleihen. I yearned for them. I wanted to observe them. Belibi shu'ucha l'kaimon. Yaakov Avinu is saying that Esav, and we'll see what the meaning of this message is, in Lavan Garti, I lived in very difficult circumstances. V'taryag mitzvos shamarti. Did I keep taryag mitzvos? Of course not, but I want to tell you something. I yearned for it. I yearned for it. I desired it every single day to be something bigger, to be something greater, to be something. I will say, do you know what the chilik between a Yaakov and an Esav is? And you know, in life, you have to make a choice. You got to choose a team. You always have to choose a team. A lot of people like to live life kind of on the sidelines, observing. You have to choose a team. You have to plant your flag somewhere. And the truth is, life is often about choosing between a Yaakov and an Esav. You say to yourself, what kind of choice is that? Of course, I don't want to be a Rasha. I will say, it's important to understand, Esav, I'm going to say, Esav was often misunderstood. What do I mean by that? Esav, we categorize often Esav as evil from birth. That's because ultimately what we take is, we know what happens with Esav, and we reflect it back, or refract it back, even on his origins. Esav had a lot of good in him also. Esav was a Metsuyan. The entire Koach of Amalek, who comes from Esav's Kibud Ava'im. Do you realize how powerful his Kibud Ava'im must have been? If that one mitzvah is what fuels the arch nemesis of Klal Yisrael, the Dore Doros. Amalek will not be done until Mashiach comes. And their entire fuel, their entire energy comes from that one mitzvah of Kibud Ava'im. Esav had many good positive traits as well. So what's the chilik between a Yaakov and an Esav? The chilik is in this phrase. Taryag mitzvos shamarti. An Esav is content with who he is. An Esav is happy to coast. An Esav puts himself on cruise control and says, hey, I'm doing just fine. Did you see that guy? Look at that guy. That guy needs help, right? That guy has service. That guy needs the musar. That guy needs the, I'm doing great. That's the hashkafa of Esav. In Lavan Garti v'taryag mitzvah shamarti, Yaakov Avinu says the hashkafa of Yaakov is growth. I'm not perfect, and I know I'll never be perfect. I live with Lavan. I live with Lavan all the time. I have to work with Lavan, right? I have to interact with Lavan. I have to go into the world with Lavan. In Lavan Garti, I don't live in a spiritual cocoon. I don't live on a spiritual oasis. But taryag mitzvos shamarti. I'm not perfect. I don't keep the taryag mitzvos. I don't even keep half of the mitzvos. I struggle with all of the mitzvos. But shamarti, I anticipatorily pine for growth. Yoshev u'mitzape masayavo. Every moment of my life, I am trying to figure out how can I become greater? How can I become holier? How can I push myself just a little bit more? That's Yaakov Avinu. That's the midah of Yaakov. That's the midah of Bnei Yaakov. That's the midah of Bnei Yisrael. The Ribono Shel Olam never asks for perfection. All he asks is, Lavan Garti v'taryag mitzvos shamarti. Yoshev u'mitzape masayavo. When can I grow? How can I grow? How can I push myself just a little bit more? I will say that's the distinction, or that's the choice we make for ourselves in life. Do I want to be a Yaakov, and do I want to be an Esav? Do I want to be the kind of person that simply plateaus, simply coasts? I'll take a little bit here, take a little bit there, but I'm not really interested in any kind of real comprehensive cathartic growth. Or do I want to be a Yaakov, recognizing that I'm far from perfection, but taryag mitzvos shamarti. Each and every moment and each and every day, I'm looking for my opportunities to grow. I'm looking for my opportunities to evolve. I'm looking for my opportunities just to become a bit holier. We should be zocha, as the inkloch, as the grandchildren of Yaakov Avinu, to be able to take this hashkafa with us. Yes, in Lavan Garti, a lot of us have a lot of different influences and a lot of different circumstances in life. But with all that, taryag mitzvos shamarti. Ribono Shel Olam, I promise you that I'm trying to grow. I promise you that I'm trying to be better. Yoshev u'mitzape masayavo. Every day I look, and every moment I look for those opportunities just to become a bit better, just to become a bit holier.
Both sides Friday. Heard about that Yisrael. The Trufim were made from the before. He said to the before. She's telling Asa, you think that this goes before Laban's house? He took it. And Laban got it. I would have been the before. He would have said to me.